I want to welcome everyone here to the Honors Lecture Series on Global Engagement. My name is Dr. Philip Phillips, and I'm the Associate Dean of the University Honors College. I'm very happy today to introduce someone to you who really needs no introduction. Our speaker today is Laura Clippard. Laura has been here for almost 9 years. She is a central part of our honors staff and works tirelessly, indefatigably, to help students identify opportunities and to pursue them successfully. I could go down a long list of things that she's done. Just a few. It's because of her efforts largely, and we all try to contribute to this, but because of her efforts, we've been very successful with Fulbright fellowships, Goldwaters, full range of scholarships and fellowships that our students have won. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever dreams that you have, whatever field that you're in, there are opportunities out there. There's funding out there, and if you're willing to put the time into it, Laura Clippard will work with you through the whole process. Everybody here at the Honors College will do what we can to help you be successful. Laura is one of our permanent speakers in this series, although I always ask her every year if she'd be willing to speak, and she very graciously says yes. But she is a permanent part of this series because this is an opportunity for her to share with the largest group of honor students what kinds of fellowship and scholarship opportunities there are out there. And she's put together a presentation for you today. So please be attentive and please ask questions. And join me now in welcoming Laura Clippard.
I'm excited to be here. I love my job. I get to help students apply for cool opportunities. What could be better? It's a lot of fun. I try to help students learn from the process. We can't always guarantee that you're going to win, but we try to make it a growth experience. However, that being said, I've asked 3 students who won national opportunities to talk to you about their experiences. And I've shortened my presentation a little bit on the information so that you can ask questions at the end. So at the end of this, if you have a question for one of our student speakers, we'd like you to do that. I think I'm going to start with Marilyn. So I'm going to let her introduce herself. She won a national scholarship, and so she's going to tell you about her experiences, and she's going to stand right behind the mic.
She's reminding me to stand behind the mic. Okay, I'm Marilyn Kelly. This past summer, I studied abroad in Costa Rica for 9 weeks, and a great deal of my study abroad experience was paid for by the Gilman National Scholarship. That's what I was awarded this past spring. And the only outstanding requirement for the Gilman National Scholarship is that you have a Pell Grant. So if you don't receive a Pell Grant, still listen to what I say because it's important. If you do receive a Pell Grant, you should definitely consider the Gilman Scholarship if you're planning on studying abroad at any point in your undergraduate career. I think the most important thing for me to tell you today is that no matter what national scholarship you're going for, you definitely are able to be awarded that scholarship. I think a lot of us don't apply for national scholarships because we look at the requirements, or perhaps we look at people that have won and we think, oh, I could never do that. I don't have any outstanding characteristics about me that set me apart from anyone else. But what you do with Miss Clippard when you walk into her office is she just sits you down and she asks you, okay, tell me about your academics, or tell me about your life, tell me about where you grew up. And from that, you start talking to her, and she points out those things that you can point out in your applications that will help set you apart from other students. I didn't think that I was characterized from other students at all. I just thought I was a high achiever, as all of you are, but Ms. Clippard sat me down and she pointed out some things about me that were different, and that's what I highlighted on in my application, and that's why I was awarded the Gilman Scholarship. Is there anything else I should say? Okay, thank you.
Next up, we have Kelly, one of your classmates. And Kelly is, she can correct me, president of the Black Student Union. And she also won a PPIA in the University of Minnesota, I think. So she's going to tell you about that.
So, hey y'all, name's Kelly Richardson. I'm a senior here, as she said, president of Black Student Union. And last summer I participated in the Public Policies and International Affairs Junior Summer Institute at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. So the program was 7 weeks long this summer, and I received a $1,000 stipend to go along with it. They paid for everything from flights to, we stayed in dorms, and we also got food vouchers. So we basically had 1,000 flex bucks for 7 weeks, which was insane. So we spent most of it at Starbucks. So it was, my program focused on solving grand challenges, which in grand challenges are things like environmental justice, climate change, social justice issues, race and inequality issues, and also educational access issues. And to understand these issues, we took 5 rigorous courses. They're all graduate level courses on stats, statistics, econ, intro to policy analysis, qualitative studies, and a research lecture by one of like the most distinguished lecturers at University of Minnesota, which was a really awesome experience. We also visited corporations because in Minnesota they have like the most Fortune 500 companies in like United States or something like that. So we visited Target, which is a Minnesota-based company, which was amazing. And we got to see their social media room and meet with their global ambassadors. And we visited NGOs and government officials, all of that, which was a really great way to see all the many different careers and public policy that you have to that they have to offer. And I think it's really important to note that you did not, like, I'm a political science major, and although there are a lot of political issues that we talk about, you do not have to be any type of political major, politics major, I should say. For instance, my roommate was a neuroscience major, and one of my best friends out of the program, her name is Ruby, she is a biochemist major. So it was really strange, and it was 17 of us, but everybody had something different to offer. And Minnesota was like very, very intentional in making sure everybody's experiences were met. And again, with the PPIA Junior Summer Institute, you can apply to 5 schools. So there's University of Minnesota, Princeton University, what are the other ones?
I don't know, Kelly.
And there's like 3 other, but they're like really cool schools. UC Berkeley, I know, is one. So you can go like pretty much anywhere around the country. They'll pay for you, and you get all these great experiences. The also major benefit was networking. Like I said, you're a major university, so their campuses are buzzing year round. So there's always people there that you can talk to. I met a lot of new mentors. Even my program coordinator actually is like one of my closest friends now. And let's see, what else? Like I said, I encourage everybody to apply to the JSI program. You do have to be a junior to apply to the program. However, if you're not a junior and you're like, well, that sounds pretty cool, they have weekend away trips that you can go for 4 days to like Indiana University. They just did one at Boulder, UC Boulder. They had one at Minnesota again. But for 4 days, you have these conversations about policy and policy making in the grand challenges, and you basically sit in a room full of like-minded students and come up with ways. It's basically a think tank. You come up with ways to solve these issues, and they'll bring in dynamic speakers to just let you really understand what you're talking about. So again, I encourage everybody to look it up. It's ppia.org. And check it out. It's a really awesome experience, and I hope all of you all think about it. So, yep.
Next up, we have Herman. Herman can correct me. I think he's won 3 national scholarships, he had to turn one of them down because that was at the same time as another one. But I'd like to invite Herman up to tell you about his experiences.
All right, hello everybody. Let me go to the mic instead. All right, okay, so my name is Herman Puntland. I am a senior here at MTSU and I'm a global studies major. Part of the reason why I chose a global studies major because not only do I love studying abroad and going abroad, but I also love understanding and reflecting upon global connections between people. So how do we relate with each other? How can we talk more about each other? How can we get closer? And also affect and solve issues that might happen in different communities. So that's part of the reason why I chose a global studies major. And of course, as a global studies major, we are required to study abroad, but even if you are not, I definitely highly recommend every college student everywhere in the United States study abroad at least one time, because it will not only change your perspective on life in general, but also open you up to the world outside of America, because obviously there is a lot outside of America, okay? So there's a lot of different scholarships that I've won, thankfully, due to the staff and faculty here at MTSU. The first advice that I would absolutely give is that the university and faculty are here for your success, okay? So there's a lot of faculty that will gladly help you with either essays or any of the application process, like Ms. Laura Clippard have helped me so much with all the scholarships that I won. To name some of the scholarships I won, the first one I won was the Gilman Scholarship, which paid for my study abroad. It gave me $8,000 to study abroad in Tanzania, in Tanzania I studied community development for about 4 months. And I was able to get the critical language scholarship as well for the summer. And what the critical language scholarship is, where you get to study a language for a whole summer that is not commonly taught or not commonly learned with students. So I really love Swahili because I studied abroad in East Africa, and that is what I wanted to do. And I got paid for the whole summer to do that. However, I turned that one down because my heart was actually set on another program that I applied towards. It was the Minority Health International Research Training Program. And for me, I am interested in health. I am pre-med as well. So I was going to look more into health communities, health initiatives around the world. So that is why I decided to go to Uganda to do cervical cancer research over there. And mainly what I did was, it was qualitative research, so I got to survey, interview, go out in the community, not sit in a lab for 24/7, and actually get to know the community, see what issues they're facing, and how maybe that we can fix those issues. So that was part of the work that I did over the summer, and honestly, it was a really enriching experience that not only really prepared me for like the future career of maybe being a doctor, but also really opened me up towards humanitarian issues in general, because obviously there's a lot going on around this world, and just knowing more about those issues will really equip you towards learning more success. But these are only a few of the programs that we offer around the world for the MTSU. Of course, for going more in depth of the Minority Health International Research Training, they go to every part of the different parts of the country. So if you are interested in health research, there's some in Brazil, there's some in Thailand, there's one in Europe. They're all around the world, and all these sites are based depending on the research topic that you want to do. For instance, my friend went to Nicaragua because she wanted to study the volcanic environment and how that affected the community around them. My friend went to Thailand to study more about elephants and their conservation. So there's numerous opportunities, numerous kind of sites that you can go to depending on like what your niche is, what you want to do. But the one thing that I'm here is really to motivate you guys, to encourage to apply for all these programs, okay? So I want you guys to apply for as many scholarships and opportunities as you can. Usually when you have an essay that you are required for these programs, once you nail one down, it's kind of easy to kind of apply for the other opportunity. The thing about that is that each essay has to be tailored toward the program. So usually you have one skeleton essay that you're able to work with, and then you can kind of tweak it from there about the different programs that you want to do. But to be a competitive scholarship, to be a competitive applicant, you really do need not only a strong personal statement, because a strong personal statement is really going to set you up for presenting yourself to the council that's going to review your application, okay? So this is your time to shine. This is your time to give you an opportunity to tell your story. And usually for the applications, you don't want to go too much in detail about your whole life. You don't want to make it a Lifetime movie, make them cry. But you do want to mention a little bit about your background and maybe why that has kind of encouraged you to do that certain program and how it may benefit you in the long run. So that's really what they want to look for. And that's honestly how I would focus your applicant more tailored or towards. And also the University Writing Center are very, very helpful in drafting and to even revising your essays, okay? So they're going to be very clutch. And also Laura Clippard and all the other applicants that we do have some past essays that we are able to provide you guys. If you guys guys do want to look at how maybe we lay out some things, what we talk about. You know, you don't want to copy and paste all of those things, obviously, because it won't apply to you, but you might want to see maybe how the setup is going to be, okay? So that's going to be a major determinant between your success. And also, faculty recommendations is going to be very, very important, okay? So usually people have questions about whether if I should pick somebody in my field that I'm interested in or somebody that knows me well. 9 times out of 10, I would definitely recommend you pick somebody that is very, very close and personal to you, that knows your work ethic, knows your involvement on student leadership if you are involved. If not, that's totally fine. Maybe mention about the classes or things, the extracurricular that you might have done. Those are going to be what your strong recommenders are going to look for, and that's going to be ultimately how they're going to get your first impression of you, because they're going to get your impression of you from those recommenders. So that's going to be very important as well. But overall, to sum it up, I definitely want you to apply for as many opportunities as you can. College is the time to be paid to go abroad. So that's one of the great things. They want to hand you money so that you can get these experiences that will ultimately make you a better national citizen. So that's the ultimate goal for all these opportunities that we have. So of course, we are open to any questions that you may have. Of course, that was just like a little brief description about what these opportunities are about. But if you guys have any questions about it, please feel free to ask us, and we're more than happy to help out. And of course, this faculty is always here to help you as well, okay? All right, thank you all so much.
Before I get started, I think there's other students in the room that have won national scholarship. So if you have won a national scholarship like Phi Kappa Phi or REUs or one of the others, will you please stand? Okay. So just so you know, there's several students that you can talk to about your experiences. I'm going to get started talking about leadership, keeping track. One of the things that you can do to make your life easier when you apply to graduate school, when you apply for leadership opportunities or national fellowships, is keep track of what you do. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be a folder, but there's nothing more frustrating than going in to fill an application out and going, now, what did I do my sophomore year? Did I help with that blood drive? So you want to keep track of everything. You also want to keep track of your leadership role. What did you do to make that event? If it's research, that's great. It's going to be a little different than if it's community service. But what did you do? You also want to talk to people and be bold. You want to talk to your advisors. You want to talk to your faculty. You want to say, what advice do you have for me? How can I get involved with X field? And listen to their suggestions. You may not be able to do everything, but it's good to have that knowledge. And of course, you want to keep your grades up. The other thing that you want to do is you want to realize that leadership is more than just a list of activities. So occasionally I'll have a student with a long list of activities, but they really haven't dove deeply into something that they're passionate about. So find what you're interested in and dive in, okay? Try to make a difference, whether it's, I'm trying to use this, okay, well, I'm pointing to difference, okay? So how did you make a difference, whether it's science or history? And when you're applying for a national opportunity, think about what you've done and how that connects to where you want to go. The other thing that you need to do is you need strong letters of recommendation. So I always pick on Dr. Phillips. I don't know if we have any other faculty in here or not. But Dr. Phillips, what is the shortest amount of time that anyone has ever asked for a letter of recommendation?
Recently or throughout my career?
Well, let's go within the last 2 years.
Okay, maybe a week.
A week. Okay. What's the shortest you've had total in terms of asking for a reference?
12 hours.
12 hours. Okay.
Don't recommend the last.
Don't do that, okay?
Don't ask me 12 hours.
Yeah. You want to give people at least 1 month to do a good letter for you. And you want to give them a clear idea of what you're applying for. Faculty can write dynamic, interesting letters about you, but they need to know that you're applying for a leadership activity versus you're applying for a study abroad opportunity. And you need to give them either a resume or a list of stuff that you've been involved with so they can write you that strong letter. You also will have to write a personal statement, and I can tell you from experience that people do not like personal statements. So they would rather write about political issues or science research than write about themselves. But in most of these applications, you have to write about yourself. You have to explain why you want this opportunity, what you have done, and what you're pursuing. And you really need to think about this deeply. When people come in and they say, I want to apply to medical school because I want to help people, that's not deep enough, okay? You've got to dig a little deeper. You've got to share your history. You didn't wake up one day and say, I think I'm going to go to medical school. You probably did a lot of deep thinking, a lot of reflecting. You probably talked to the faculty. You probably had some experiences along your life journey that led to that. Writing for a national fellowship is also kind of challenging in time management. So you have a job, you have your classes, maybe you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, and then you decide to apply for an extra opportunity. So, you know, when you are applying, you need good time management skills, you need strong references, you need to be able to identify your own strength. Something that the students at MTSU sometimes have a difficult time with is talking about what they're good at. Because in the South, we're taught not to be, not to brag on ourselves. But you have to be able to explain what your strengths are and what you bring to the application. You also have to start these fairly early. There are a lot of benefits. For example, I had a student that applied for the Goldwater last year, and she did not win. And I said, I am so sorry, you didn't win the Goldwater. She said, don't be sorry. I took those essays and I applied to an internship at MIT and I got it. So all the writing that I did, all the reflecting that I did was positive and helped me understand myself and helped me get this other opportunity. So now I'm going to start talk about some opportunities. But the first thing that I should tell you is this is not a comprehensive list. If you want a comprehensive list, you can go to the website. But there's probably 200 or more national opportunities. I don't even think I have the PPIA on this slide, okay? So there's a lot of good opportunities. This is just a sampling of what is out there. So the first thing you should know is that if you are interested in doing a research or creative project, you should think local. You should apply within MTSU. So will you raise your hand? I won't make you stand up. Will you raise your hand if you've received a Eureka grant at some point? Okay, so quite a few of you. Basically, you get paid anywhere from $500 to $3,500 to do a research or creative project. You can do it any semester. So you can do it spring, fall, or summer. They have workshops where they explain what you have to do, and you have to have a faculty sponsor or person to supervise your work. The odds that it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, but the odds of getting this are pretty good. If you apply and you don't get it one semester, I've had students who have applied and gotten it the next semester. So if you're interested, or if you're going to do research or creative project anyway, why not get paid for it? That's kind of my philosophy. So I would encourage you to look into these opportunities. There's also the Critical Language Scholarship. This is what Herman turned down, okay, because he did a MERT. But the Critical Language Scholarship is where you study these 14 languages. Now, these languages are not usually taught in the high schools, and you have to be able to tie your career goals into the language. It's usually during the summer, and you go 7 to 10 weeks. We had 2 students win last year. One went to study Turkish and the other Arabic. It's a wonderful program. It's sponsored by the State Department. The cycle closed already this year for November 15th, but the cycle will open up next fall if you're interested in applying for this. The Gilman Scholarship. And both Herman and Kelly won the Gilman. The Gilman, you have to have a Pell Grant, okay? And you have to go study abroad at least 3 weeks. And beyond that, you kind of have to justify why you picked this program, how it ties to your personal, academic, and career goals. But the odds of getting this are pretty good. And we have a lot of experience. Judy O'Bakary, my coworker, has been a Gilman reader, a national reader. I've been a national reader. So if you're going to do a study abroad for 3 weeks and you have a Pell Grant, please come and see me. The Fulbright is one of my favorite programs. The Fulbright is sponsored by the State Department as well. And after you graduate from MTSU, you either teach English as an assistant or you do research overseas. And basically, you can apply at the end of your junior year, although you can also apply as an alumni in graduate school, and you're usually overseas 8 to 10 months. They're looking for people who are open-minded, flexible. The reason that the Fulbright is one of my favorite programs is the purpose of the Fulbright is world peace. So we send Fulbright students overseas, and they send students to us. They pay for everything. If you are married and or have children, sometimes you can bring them as well. Germany, for example, actually pays a stipend for dependents. So there's a lot of flexibility in Fulbright. We have, the Honors College has been fortunate. We have had 14 Fulbright winners in the last 8 years. Prior to Dean Weil and I arriving on the scene, we only had 2. Okay, so we've made an effort to try to help people be competitive, to help people apply for this opportunity. There's all kinds of other opportunities. If you want to be abroad after you graduate from MTSU, I have a list that you can pick up from me, or you can schedule an appointment where you can be paid to be overseas. The JET program, for example, is Japanese English teaching. So there's all kinds of opportunities for students to be abroad after graduation. So I'm going to shift a little bit away from overseas opportunities. We have a scholarship called the Truman, and I always tell people for the Truman Scholarship, I am looking for someone who's argumentative, but is also a person of action. So they pay up to $30,000 for graduate school. They want someone who is involved in their campus, in their community, and in some kind of government action. And you can apply only as a junior, and we've had several students interview for the scholarship. We haven't had anybody win yet, but we're still looking. Again, public service, public speaking, and that kind of thing. The Goldwater is something that's ongoing right now. So for the Goldwater, we're switching a little bit into science opportunities. They pay $7,500. Kirsten Cunningham won the Goldwater last year. She is a chemistry biology major. For the Goldwater, you have to want to get a PhD in research. These are open right now. So raise your hand if you're a science major or a mathematics major. So these are open right now. These are so wonderful. I could almost do cartwheels, okay? Basically, oh, let me go back. Basically, you get paid $4,000 to $7,000. Hannah, how much did you get paid? Put you on the spot.
$525 a week, and it was a 9 to 10 program.
Okay, so I don't know how much that is because I can't do the math that quickly. They pay your airfare. It depends on the RAU. They pay your transportation. They pay your housing. Sometimes they pay for food. It just depends on the RAU. And you get to go to another university and do research with a small team of 10 to 15 people. So if you are not graduating and you're going to be here next fall and you're in science and you're interested in an RAU, now is the time to apply. Again, Hannah Hall won an RAU, and you were at the Riverside. Of California Riverside last year. So we had at least 6 students do REUs last year. So it's a wonderful opportunity. This is what Herman did. He did the MERT, and he went to Uganda to do healthcare research. If you want help paying for graduate school, there's also opportunities. This is a science opportunity where you get paid about $30,000, and the $30,000 plus $12,000 for educational expenses on top of that. The Udall Scholarship, I'm working with a candidate right now, is for people who are interested in environmental issues. There's also something called the Rhodes, and we had a student interview for the Rhodes. She did not win, but she did interview. The Rhodes is the one that Bill Clinton had, and it pays for you to go to Oxford University. Now, some of these scholarships are very specific. You have to be under a certain age and that type of thing. And what I usually tell people is, I guess there's a couple of general things I would tell you. The first thing I would tell you is you should look at the website, you should come and talk with me to see what your options are. Again, there's probably 200 or more national opportunities. I cannot sit here and read all of them. You would probably fall asleep if I did, all the different opportunities to you. But one thing I would encourage you to do is find out what you are eligible for, and then go for it. If what you want to do is, okay, this is what the scholarship wants. I think I'm a pretty good match for it, and then I would encourage you to apply. We can't guarantee you'll win, but there's value in the process. There's value in applying. It helps you think about your strengths. It thinks about your weaknesses. A lot of times students, when they write these applications, will actually use them for graduate school. People will write their personal statements, and then they'll turn around and use that for graduate school. So I always say that life is a journey, not a destination. We have a lot of great students that apply and didn't win, but they got value out of the process, and we do have people that win. Every year we have students that win national opportunities where things are paid for, and they get to network and they get to meet other people. So there's a lot of good opportunities. So at this point, I think I'm going to invite the students back up. So you didn't know that, did you? Because I'm going to take questions. And if you ask a student a question, they're going to have to scoot behind the mic for speaking purposes so they get recorded. So at this point, I think, are there questions either for myself or for the students that went? Yes?
Has a lot of progress been made towards national scholarships and fellowships for permanent residents, not just U.S. citizens?
I have a list of opportunities for international students, but unfortunately, most of the programs are for U.S. citizens. So, I mean, I wish it weren't that way, because there's a lot of great students out there that are very motivated and hardworking. I don't set the rules for the fellowships, though. Other questions, anybody? No? So Hannah, do you want to come up? Since we have some time, you guys can sit down. Well, we had time, right? And Hannah practiced last week. I don't know if she had notes or not. But I'm going to have Hannah tell you about her RU, since we have a little bit of time.
Okay. So I attended an REU at the University of California, Riverside. And REU is where you do research at a different university for, it can be 8 to 10 weeks, I believe. And they give you a stipend, and they pay for your travel and your living expenses. And then sometimes food, though mine did not. My research was in plant development. I looked at roots, and I got a whole bunch of new skills that I can use in the lab and I can put on a resume.
That's it. That's fine. We had an REU workshop last week, and I heard her talk, so I know it looked like I just pulled her out of the blue, but I really didn't. So at this point, I'll go back through. Does anybody have questions about it, an opportunity in particular they want to ask about? Yes.
For the critical language one, I haven't heard about it before for the Arabic, that you had to be the intermediate level, but on that one it said beginning, so can you apply it to it if you haven't had any?
For Arabic, you have to have 1 year under your belt. I don't necessarily have all of the levels memorized, but I know that for Japanese, you have to have 2 years of Japanese. For Arabic, it's 1 year. For Turkish and Korean, no requirements. The biggest thing with the critical language scholarship is you have to be able to tie them to your long-term goals. And it doesn't matter what that long-term goal is. It could be that you want to work in music, or you want to work in business or science, but you have to somehow tie the need for Arabic to your long-term goal. Yes?
Is the critical language scholarship, are you able to apply for that after you graduate, or does that have to be during your enrollment at?
That's a great question. The question was, when can you apply for the critical language scholarship? For the critical language scholarship, you have to be enrolled that fall in order to go in the summer. Now, you could graduate in December or in spring and still go on the critical language scholarship. Also, for the critical language scholarship, it lets graduate students apply. So you have to be an undergraduate or a graduate student in the fall to apply to go that summer. Yes?
Are there any other scholarships that are eligible for students that might not be enrolled for the duration of the scholarship, similar to the language one?
Well, there's a lot of overseas opportunities. For example, the Fulbright, you don't have to be enrolled to apply for the Fulbright. The JET program, I don't think you have to be currently enrolled to apply with. The TALK is the Korean program. You don't have to be enrolled. So a lot of the overseas opportunities, although they're limited to U.S. citizens, you don't have to be enrolled at the time of application. Yes?
With the Fulbright one, I know there's the Teaching English abroad or doing the research. Mm-hmm. Is there a database to see what sort of research students are meant to do abroad, like by discipline or?
Kind of. There's a list of the students and what their project, what area they did research in, but it doesn't go into a lot of detail. However, if you're interested in Fulbright, I have examples. Dean Vile's actually a National Fulbright Reader right now. So we're able to give you feedback and help you with that. Okay. Okay. Thank you.